It is mid-March here in Zone 6B where I live in Missouri, and I'm going to be showing you today what I'm growing at this time of year. Now, it's not much, and it's a little bit of a mess here because I'm in the process of amending my container garden soil, but I live in the midtown neighborhood of a larger city, and so that means that I have pretty limited space, and a lot of it is shaded because we have these big, beautiful old trees in our area. And so I'm going to show you also today that you don't have to live on a homestead or a farm to be able to grow your own vegetables. Even if you just have a small back deck, it is totally possible. So let's take a look today at what I'm growing here in mid-March. Okay, so first of all, one of my biggest issues in the beginning of spring, every growing season, are the squirrels. They are just little nemesis. And I used to think squirrels were so cute until I became a vegetable gardener. They're not our friends. So something that I have to do with my container beds at the beginning of each spring is to cover them. I don't love the look of it. We use our outdoor space a lot for entertaining or dining. And so I don't really like having my garden beds covered, but it's just the best way that I have found to stay sane and not have to be constantly filling in the holes that the squirrels are digging up. They dig up seedlings and seeds, and it's just a mess. So right now I do have frost cover on my garden beds, and that's because we are at the end of March. The weather in the Midwest here is really temperamental, and usually there's still a few nights in the late spring where we're going to be dipping below freezing. And so I just put frost cover on kind of preemptively to be prepared for that. Once it is warmer and we're clear of any of those below freezing temperatures, I will change this to a mesh netting. But for now, we just leave the frost cover on. And again, that's mostly for the squirrels. And the way that I have this is I have some arches that I use. They are adjustable, so you can move them as your plants are growing. So these are all vegetables that I started from seed, and I started these on March 2nd. It is now March 18th. So you can kind of see the progress of them there. And I have carrots on this side. I have mustard spinach here in the middle, which is actually new to me. I have not grown that before. I have just kind of a regular spinach variety here. As you can see, some of those seeds didn't pop up. I'll probably need to go in and add some more today. And then over here, I have arugula. Now, as you can tell, and you're probably thinking this, I planted my seeds pretty closely. If you look at the seed packets, they tell you to leave, sometimes even up to 6 inches for some of these leafy greens in between your seeds. But I personally like to plant mine a little bit closer, and that's because a lot of these varieties are cut and come again. And so what that means is, like with this mustard spinach, once it is mature, and even if just the baby spinach, if those are ready, I can come in and start cutting the leaves off of them, and they're going to grow back on that same plant. And so what I like to do, because I am so limited in my space, is these cut and come again vegetables, so mostly like some leafy greens. I plant them rather closely, and then I just am constantly harvesting, every morning, pulling some out. And I find that it really doesn't harm the harvest or, the growability. And I just get so much more vegetable for the small space that I have. And if I need to, I'll come through and thin them out. But it really is something that I have started doing the last couple of years because it just means that I get so much more vegetables for my space. Now, the carrots are something that are going to take a while to mature. So these will just stay here and keep growing. I did notice I had a couple little, this looks like a kale pop up. So I don't know how those seeds got in there, but I decided to leave them and just kind of see what happens. It's always funny when you're gardening to see what else is popping up in areas where you did not plant it. So that's one of my garden beds that I have going right now. These were all planted from seed. And then the second garden bed are all ones that I started in my basement from seed. I started these February 15th, so it's now just a little over a month later. Actually, some of these I started March 1st, so there's a little bit of a variety of dates, but these kale, the larger ones, I started February 15th. So I have kale, I have Swiss chard, I have tatsoi, and then I have an endive there as well. That's something new I'm trying this year. And so these all just went in the garden yesterday. And I also have planted peas. I planted some pea seeds in the back here. I'm going to get a trellis here in the next week or so to do some vertical growing. I haven't done that in a while in this bed, but I want to try it this year because I just want to maximize the amount of space that I have, and vertical growing is a great way to do that. Yesterday, I also planted some lettuce seeds around here. I just kind of scatter my seeds, and same concept with lettuce as with that other bed where I plant a lot more closely than some other gardeners do and then is recommended. But I'm just constantly harvesting. Lettuce is another one where you can cut it at the base of the lettuce and it will grow another head on that same plant. And so I just do this to maximize my space. I have not had many issues with it. Sometimes I'll have to pull them if, they're getting a little too close and it's getting warmer towards the end of spring. But overall, it has just been a great way to maximize the small container garden I have here in my backyard. So that's what I have growing in my 2 garden beds so far in this early spring season. And what I'm going to be doing today is actually amending the soil in all of my other container beds. I have a handful more, and so that's on the task list today. And then I'll be able to plant out those with some of my remaining seedlings that I started in my basement, and then some seeds as well. It's just such a great time of year. Spring is always so exciting when you can finally get going in the garden. And especially after these long Midwest winters, I am really looking forward to getting my nails dirty and getting back into the vegetable gardening season.